Hey, so I thought I'd do a video and basically discuss, is it actually too late to get into crypto now if maybe you don't own any, and is it a good time to buy as prices are kind of like hanging around all-time highs? If you like the video, comment down below with anything that you want me to get back to you on, and give it a like so that you can basically push me up the algorithms and yeah, get more people seeing these videos if you like them. So essentially the way that I'd be looking at this, right, is if you don't own any crypto at the moment, the best thing that you can probably do is, and you want to get into the you want some exposure to the asset class, and you think that it's going to go higher, is I would say that you are late, but you are not last to the party at the minute. I think most of the majority of the move has been done here, okay, and then you know, I still think that we can push on to about 150k in and around that area, but you have to realize as well, obviously there are two components to take in here. Is one, the component of like probabilities, and two, risk reward. So from a probability standpoint, you probably, although you are buying at the highs, right, the probabilities is that this sub peak here is probably not the real peak. Yes, we went higher over here, but I'm talking about this actual range. Like I don't think that we just sort of like collapse down from here. The likelihood of that is very, very unlikely in my opinion. I would give that like, you know, a 10% chance, 10-15% chance of actually happening. Obviously be aware of that and be ready for something like that if it happens. But you know, when Bitcoin breaks these sort of like major peaks, it does tend to go on a big run, like we've sort of discussed before. So probability wise, yes, we are likely to go higher. Can we get some chop and volatility in between? Absolutely. So we can, you know, we can move down into the 50s and we can drop 20%, 15%, and there's going to be corrections along the way should we reach 150k. But you have to realize as well that there's also the component of the risk reward. So the time to buy was probably over here. Okay, and obviously earlier in the cycle in this accumulation phase in 2018-19. So essentially from a risk reward point of view, you have to understand that like these people down here and down here, right, they've been holding for a long time. They can expect bigger returns, right? They can go, do you know what, I can, if I've got a 10x and all that sort of stuff, great. Okay, but the people up here, you can't expect that same kind of returns unless you're either going to wait longer, in my opinion. Okay, so you either have to just hold for a longer period of time, because there has to be give and take, right? The markets aren't that easy. So basically your time horizons also have to be a lot shorter. So you have to go, do you know what, like we speculated before, that if we think 3 to 6 months, in and around that time, sometime in 22, might be a reasonable time that we might see a market cycle top when we get that big parabolic rally. That's what I would be doing. So I would be basing this more on the assumption of probability than risk reward, and maybe just add if prices go a little bit lower. So if you've got a little bit of money to put in and you want exposure to crypto and you don't have anything in it at the minute, maybe buy a little bit at the minute. Okay, and then if it goes a bit lower into the 50s, the 40s, or whatever it is, okay, then add a little bit more, add a little bit more, add a little bit more. Okay, that's how I would be playing it personally. But your time horizons have to be shorter. You can't expect, you know, mammoth gains, because I think we're pretty late into the innings, and we are getting into the final stages of the bull run. And when you see Bitcoin maybe make its last parabolic move into, you know, 100k plus, look for that as a good time to take profits. And you know, what the market gives you and what you want are two different things, right? I remember getting in here when I first came into crypto, and I actually held through this entire market, and I sort of went, okay, do you know what, I'm willing to just hold this for a long time, but it is not a nice or easy hold, okay? And I didn't really properly grasp you know, the concept that so many people had actually bought a lot earlier than me, even like 2 or 3 months earlier than me, okay, was actually a massive difference from a timing perspective, okay, because they were probably able to make an extra 3, 4, 500% gain on me from even where I entered. So something to definitely bear in mind, that, you know, you probably are coming into, I would say we're probably somewhere in this stretch, you know, of the market cycle, and you know, you have to just bear that in mind. So this is kind of the way that I would be looking at it in terms of a time perspective. We don't know exactly how long the exact prices, but maybe this is what I'd be looking out for, is maybe buy now. If you get the chance to buy a bit lower, great. Otherwise, just expect your time horizons and your time frames to be a little bit shorter for taking profits, and then maybe get in when the market starts to have its big major bear cycle and correction, which I think will inevitably come. This time is not different approach. Is probably the way to look out for these things. So yeah, I don't think people are quite expecting. It seems like to be quite a mixed emotions in the market. Some people think it's going higher. There's not quite that euphoric stage yet. So and that's basically how I look into it. DCA, if you're in, okay, have a little bit of exposure now. Probability is that we move up. Momentum is hard to stop once started. The momentum is clearly up. We can chop up and down, move sideways and whatnot, but that's how I'd be looking at it. So yeah, so I hope that helps, gives you a little bit of perspective if you don't own any crypto at the minute, and that's pretty much that.